in deep, deep trouble. So, the first and foremost thing that Dalit movement, as a Dalit movement, we need to do, or as a movement of lower caste, lower class people, we need to do is to do everything that is required to protect our Indian constitution, to protect our democracy, and through BJP and RSS from power from every nook and corner of this country. Second challenge is Dalit movement has a lot of dimensions. Dalit movement has been aggressive. Dalit movement has been colorful. It has expressed itself through cinema, poetry, art, literature, drama, rallies, dharnas, demonstration. It has expressed itself in various ways. But the fundamental issue is, and maybe I am also guilty, accused in that we somehow have failed to come up with a concrete blueprint explaining as to how the caste can be annihilated. Because the ultimate goal of Dalit movement has to be annihilation of caste. So, in the absence of that concrete blueprint, what we can do is, we had the stalwarts like Periyar, Dr. Ambedkar, Narayan Guru, Phule, so many social scientists, philosophers have worked on the issue of caste. And if you go through that material, if you go through their writing, if you study and analyze the Dalit movement, we get certain indicators. Now, when we say Dalit, who is a Dalit? What is to be a Dalit? 90% Dalits are working class people. And when we talk about Dalit movement, when we talk about the perception, when we talk about the perspective of Dalit movement, I personally feel, and very humbly, that somehow it is the perspective of रिजर्वेशन बेनिफिटेड यूनिवर्सिटी से निकले हुए कुछ मिडिल क्लास के दलित लोगों का पर्सपेक्टिव, जो दलित श्रमजीवी है, द वर्किंग क्लास दलित may have a completely different perspective than the perspective of you and me have. Most of the Dalits in rural India are completely landless. Now, Dalits came on the streets when the Unaya flogging incident happened in Gujarat, and it could create vibes all across India. Dalits came on the streets when the Ravidas temple was destroyed in Delhi. Dalits came to protect the Atrocities Act, and they did Bharat Bandh on 2nd April. Dalits came on the streets all across India when Rohit Vemula had to commit suicide, which we call institutional murder. These are very strong, aggressive, assertive forms of Dalit movement, Dalit expressions, but somewhere it is lacking the economic and class perspective. Therefore, Dalit movement is not much talking about public health. It is not talking about education. It is not talking about employment. It is not talking about land rights. When we get to know that somebody has damaged or destroyed the statue of Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar, there would be a rally of some 10,000 people, 20,000 people. But if privatization is happening all across India, then Dalits may not come on the streets. Meaning something is fundamentally wrong with the grammar of Dalit movement. We are lacking that class perspective. Thousands and thousands of acres of land can be allotted all across India. But as a Dalit movement, we are not making this demand. Thousands and thousands of acres of land have been already allotted all across India to landless Dalits. But possession is not with them. But where is the fight for that? We are not fighting for that. Most of the Dalits, as I said, are working class people. When they are in Surat, when they are in Baroda, Rajkot, Ahmedabad, Nagpur, Pune, Chennai, Bangalore, Delhi, what do? They are security guards. They are working as industrial worker in some factory. What are they asking for? They want minimum wages. They want to get rid of the clutches of contract system and outsourcing. But that perspective, maybe we are not having, or maybe we are turning blind eye to. So, ours is the struggle for self-respect and also for our economic and material rights. We need to blend that. If we keep talking about the cases of atrocities, and if we don't touch the issue of public health, education, employment, then it will not take us anywhere. We always talk about the unity of SC, ST, OBC and minority. But it is theory. It is on paper. How do we put it in practice? If we try to mobilize Dalits and tribals and Adivasis and Muslims on the issue of employment through Manrega scheme, because who work under Manrega? They are most of the lower OBCs, tribals, poor Muslims and Dalits. So that is where that true kind of the real unity of the SC, ST, OBC and minority would take place. 2 years back, I visited Botad, Bhavnagar, Amreli and Junagadh, these 4 districts of Gujarat. And there I was talking to Ambedkarites, Dalit groups, people who were from BSP, from Congress, other small parties, people who were from various NGOs. So I was having this kind of dialogue with them, and I asked them, if a non-Dalit is practicing untouchability with you, not subjecting you to any kind of violence and brutality, you are not subjected to any atrocity, practicing untouchability, not letting you enter the temple, not letting you fetch the water from the public well, then under what law an offense can be registered? Out of those 4,000 people, one guy who was from an NGO and 2 people who were lawyers, only they could say there is a local protection of civil rights act. Why this has happened? Because we are more involved and engaged into seminars and conferences and talks and dialogues and thinking about and articulating what Periyar and Phule and Ambedkar and social scientists and various philosophers have said. It is terribly lacking when it comes to our practice. During the Una movement, I gave a call कि गाय की पूछ तुम रखो, हमें हमारी जमीन दो. You keep cow's tail, because the Una flogging incident happened because of the entire गाय वाला episode. So that's where I gave that slogan. I brought it out in public domain that in Gujarat, 1,63,000 acres of land have been allotted to landless Dalits. But in most of the cases, possession is not there. All those people who are coming on the streets, raising the issues of caste violence and atrocities, are not touching that issue of land. Without that, we can't emancipate ourselves. Without thoroughgoing, in-depth, nationwide land reforms, we can't put an end to the remnants of feudalism which still exist in India. Coming back to the issue of untouchability, like in Gujarat, as Professor Thorat knows, Navsurjan, the non-NGO of Martin McMahon, who is associated with, carried out an in-depth study, and he said they brought out in public domain that there are 1,589 villages having 96, 97 types of untouchability. It is there in public life. It is there in public domain. There are volumes, there is material available. We can tell them, whoever is interested, we can give the names of the talukas and the villages where this untouchability is being practiced. But nobody is going to the villages. Nobody is having a program or any drive to ask to the people that why are we still practicing untouchability. Nobody is inclined to register the cases against the people who are practicing untouchability. So, as a Dalit movement, we are not concerned about putting an end to the practice of untouchability. B, as a Dalit movement, we are not much bothered about the land rights of the landless Dalits. C, as a Dalit movement, we are terribly lacking the gender perspective. D, as a Dalit movement, we are not talking about to get Dalits out of the clutches of outsourcing and contract system. We are not bothered about the minimum wages. So, without having the class perspective, in my view, the struggle against caste and class both go hand in hand. In my view, struggle against caste and patriarchy both go hand in hand. So, caste, class and patriarchy in India are interconnected. And our understanding and our framework and our theory and our practice all has to be based on the understanding of how caste, class and gender are interconnected in India. And on the basis of that, we have to come up with a blueprint. So, we as a Dalit movement, suppose in X district of Tamil Nadu, a caste violence case happens. We as a Dalit movement should go, get the FIR registered, sit out at the police station or collector office till the accused are arrested. But while doing so, we should also demand that the village in which that atrocities have happened, the landless people in those villages should also get the land. We should also, do something for the Mandrega. We also see to it what is the condition of the nearby primary health center. We should also be concerned about the education of the children of and the malnutrition. So as I said, ours is the movement of self-respect, fighting against untouchability and caste violence, and also the movement of these economic and material issues. The more and more we try to blend it, the real crux will come out, and maybe that could be the practice which will take us as a Dalit movement, as a movement of low caste, lower class people, will take us to, next level. Recently I got convicted. I'm just sharing one experience of mine. I got convicted for 3 months in a case, and I'm really proud of that, because in North Gujarat there is a district called Mehsana. From there we started Azadi Kuch till the end of Banaskantha, which is an adjoining district. And in the Banaskantha district there is a taluka called Dhanera, where a landless person was allotted land 49 years back. He was not having the possession. We did a march and we got the possession of that land after 49 years. Now when I'm doing it, I'm not remaining silent when a case of atrocity happens. I'm not remaining silent when something happens to the statue of Baba Saheb Ambedkar. But without having that practice of raising the economic issues, Dalit movement, as a Dalit movement, we will not be able to liberate ourselves. So thank you so much for engaging and indulging. And these are some of the rough ideas or the pointers that I'm placing before you. We can do more churning in coming days, in coming years. But thank you so much. And I once again appeal and request all of you that I know that BJP and RSS have become absolutely desperate to make some space in Tamil Nadu. Do not let them happen. Do not let Gujarat model subject all of you to serious kind of torture. Try your level best to keep them away. Cherish Periyar, nor Savarkar. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jignesh.